What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fandom Talk presented by Fandoms Anonymous. Now, we got an action-packed show today. We got a lot to cover today, so let's go ahead and get started. As always, I got my man Jeremy Branch from Be Terrible Productions. What's going on, Jeremy?
Hey, everybody. Glad to be back.
Most definitely. I got my man Kevin Garlington from Hubster Photography. What's going on, Kev?
Hey, what's up? Let's do this.
And joining the show, one of the four horsemen himself, Mr. Whitney Moore. What's going on, Whit?
What's up, people? We good, baby. Just ready to get it going.
We're finna get live, baby. We're finna get live. So let's go ahead and jump into it real quick. We're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We're just going to give our reactions. If you want to see a full spoilers review, check out the Fandoms Anonymous YouTube channel. There is a full spoilers review. But we're just going to give some reactions real quick. I thought the movie was visually stunning. I thought the storyline was where it needed to be. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this second outing of the Guardians. What was your take on Guardians 2?
Well, my take on Guardians 2?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I can say this. I enjoyed the first one more than the second one because it's kind of hard to top the first movie because the first movie was an instant classic. Loved it. But with the second movie, it's basically everything you can expect from a Guardians movie. The comedy was spot on, and normally you kind of be worried about a sophomore project, but it was really spot on. Action-wise, on point. Visual effects, everything was just gorgeous. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. If you like the first one, you're going to love the second one. But, again, I can't rank it above the first one, but it's still a pretty good movie, worth going to see.
Most definitely. Kevin, what's your take on Guardian?
I echo what everybody said. Now, I'm of a different mindset. I think Jeremy and I were having this kind of discussion on our previous episode about Age of Ultron and how there were a lot of critics. Now, this isn't what Whit and Malcolm just said, but there are a lot of critics out there who simply bash Guardians just because it wasn't the first one. And I'm not with that. I enjoyed this movie just as much as I enjoyed the first one. So, I definitely agree with everybody here. Visuals, comedy, everything was A1 is what you expect from a Guardians movie, and I had a great time at it. So I'm recommending people to get out and go see this movie. You will not be disappointed.
I'm going to be catching it soon, and I wanted to ask you guys real quick because I've heard from a couple people that Nebula and Yondu pretty much steal the show this time around. Do you guys agree with that?
I agree in a sense. I agree in a sense.
I'm going to say Yondu and Drax for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean with Rocket on this one. I think Rocket really stole it on this movie.
Well, hell yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like I got a couple characters to look forward to then. I just wanted to ask that real quick.
No doubt.
Most definitely. The next thing we're going to jump over to is Blade Runner 2049 coming out with their first full trailer. Now, I personally never seen the Blade Runner series, or the original movie that came out in the early 80s. But when I saw this trailer, I was like, looks like a very interesting world. It reminded me of something out of Guardians with all the colors and the different aesthetics. But not knowing really too much about the Blade Runner series, I was like, okay, looks good. It's not on my radar. I don't think I'm going to go see it, but it looks good. Kevin, what's your take on Blade Runner 2049?
All right, so I know me and my boy Jeremy, I don't know what Whitney falls on this, but me and my boy Jeremy going to be at odds on this one. Because Jeremy, I know, likes the first Blade Runner movie.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. I do not care for that movie at all. I don't like that movie. So this is the thing. When they announced this movie, I would roll my eyes. I was like, okay, this is another cash grab from Hollywood. Okay, but then I heard Denis Villeneuve, who did Arrival, was directing this thing, and I was like, okay, I rolled one eye, not two. And then I saw this trailer, and I was like, all right, when the guy falls out of that Ziploc bag onto the floor, I was like, they might have just sold a ticket. So I can say I'm not a fan of the original movie, but I like what I saw in this trailer, and I might actually check it out. This might be matinee action for me. and just to give it a chance. So while I didn't like the first one, I'm not going to crap all over the franchise. I know Jeremy thought I was going to do that. But no, I just want to make a point to say sometimes a trailer can pull you in, and they kind of pulled me in with this one.
Well, Jeremy, before I get to your rebuttal, I want to see what my man Wick thinks about Blade Runner. What did you think about Blade Runner?
Well, actually, I'm with you on this one, Malcolm. I haven't seen the first one, but I do have a question for the other two gentlemen on the show. With me not seeing the first one, of course, they have a second one coming out. Do you think I need to go back and watch that first one and then check the second one, or should I just say, you know what, screw the 80s version, let's just roll with 2017?
I think that's an interesting question. Obviously, we can only speculate ahead of time. I don't know what the exact storyline is going to be. We are in the age of nostalgia, so I'm pretty sure that they're going to lean on a lot of the imagery, and obviously Harrison Ford's in it. So I think you'll have more context if you see the original one. But similar to Mad Max Fury Road, I'm pretty sure they'll catch you up, throughout the course of the film. So I'm imagining because it's so old that modern audiences either haven't seen it or forgot about it. It's not one of these things that average film fans are super aware of. But I do think that they'll try to make sure that it's inclusive to everybody.
Now, Jeremy, what's your take on, or your rebuttal? Because like I said, I know you love Blade Runner. And I know we heard Kevin was like, hey, for me, I did not like it. And I'm with Kevin. When the man came out of the bag, I was like, what are they, birthing adults? And, I did, my thought was, how would it be to be birthed as an adult? Do you come, when you come out, do you get a house, a car, and a job? Or do you have to, start just be walking around homeless? Is that what's happening? I mean, am I seeing what I just said? I mean, what's your take, Jeremy?
To tell you the truth, man, I haven't thought about that part of it. But you guys are messing up. All of you guys are messing up. Kevin, you're messing up because you're wrong. Malcolm and Whit, y'all are messing up because you haven't seen it yet. No, I get it, man. I understand. There's about 3 different versions of Blade Runner because either the studio didn't trust the original vision. They decided to go back and put voiceover on it. There was what was it called? There was an extended cut that was really good. But anyways, there's a bunch of alternate versions of this movie. Does it hold up? I can't really say. I've got a sentimental attachment to it, but I will say that not all the performances are great. It's a story about a kind of near future, especially the first one. It was, I guess, about 2029, and there is a new kind of human almost. They're called replicants, and they're androids that are so close to humans that they actually they age. They're biological essentially. And Harrison Ford is a person who has to go and put down replicants. He's essentially a hired hitman. So the premise is really cool. The visual style. This movie was directed by Ridley Scott, the same guy that did Alien. And the visual style became something of a template for so many dystopian future movies afterwards.
Yep.
For the listeners that may not know, there's post-apocalyptic, which is your Mad Max kind of future where everything's desolate and desert-like. There's no resources left and water's usually scarce and all that stuff. And then you've got the dystopian futures, and that's where everything's so urbanized that it's just these really dense, tall cityscapes and everything's like murky and rainy. And a lot of that came from Blade Runner. This movie was visually striking, and Malcolm, you brought up the color use in the new trailer, and I couldn't agree more. I think that the use of color in this movie is great. I was kind of waiting for Harrison Ford to say Chewie, we're home, when he bust out of the shadows. I was kind of expecting that. But this movie had a $200 million budget, making it the most expensive R-rated movie of all time, which is crazy because, like I had just now alluded to, it's not something that everybody's aware of. And when we were talking about the Matrix reboot, the same thing comes to my mind. Our new audience is going to say, man, this looks like a ripoff of Ghost in the Shell or Dark City or any number of these kind of similarly themed movies that have come out since then, when essentially this is the one that kind of kicked that off. I think the score in it is so good. They definitely go back and use a lot of the themes from the first one. The composer's Johan Johansson. Ryan Gosling, super talented actor. I think he's a great fit for the character because he actually may or may not be a robot. I'm not sure, but there's this Red Letter Media video that just now came out. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but it's Rich Evans' auditions for Blade Runner 2049. And every direction they give him is the reaction shot that Ryan Gosling does, and he's just staring deadpan. And it's so funny because when I went back and rewatched the trailer afterwards, it's like Ryan Gosling has no variation in his expression from one scene to the next, which is it's pretty goofy. I would highly recommend checking that out. But Ryan Gosling, dude, don't sleep on that guy. He's really good. He was fantastic in The Nice Guys. He was good in Only God Forgives and Drive, and I really like him. And then Jared Leto, man, after the Joker, I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth about, dude. I hated that portrayal of the Joker, and I know that that's just me. You know, other people have different opinions about that, and that's awesome. Totally am glad that other people liked it, but it just didn't work for me, so I'm glad to see that this looks like a role where people are going to take note of him again and be like, wow, that Jared Leto guy is really talented. But I'm really excited about it. I do feel like Denis Villeneuve is the perfect director for this material, just like Whitney or just like Kevin had said. So I can't wait. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to eat shit, though, and not make near as much money as people think it will. I don't think it's that kind of blockbuster movie, but we'll see.
Now, before we move over into our next topic, is it me or has Harrison Ford hit that age where in all of his movies going forward, he's the old guy? He's the old guy that was part of the original. Like, for an example, look at Star Wars, and it's like he has these same unbelief phrases. Look at Star Wars. Yeah, I told you the Force was real. Now look at him in the trailer. Look at him in the trailer for this movie. He says, "Oh, so you're the new cop." You know, so then think about it. They're supposed to be doing another Indiana Jones movie. Oh, so you're the new Indiana. Like, is this what Harrison Ford's role is going to be for the rest of the movies? Like, is he going to be the guy that was in the original, and he's the old guy that's still around in the universe? I keep seeing that same trope in all of the couple of movies he's been in recently. It's like he's the old guy that's still around, and he saw everything else that happened before. I don't know if I'm the only one that caught that.
He's the Danny Glover. He's the Danny Glover of the new Harrison Ford movies. He's getting way too old for this stuff, and he's one day from retirement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Kevin, I know there's something going on over there with Hellboy. What's going on with Hellboy?
All right, so basically, look. They've been kicking around Hellboy 3 for a while. Guillermo del Toro said, hey, this movie needs to be big. The story I want to tell is going to take me $200 million. So every studio you can think of passed on it. Well, what people seem to forget is Guillermo del Toro doesn't own the rights to Hellboy. His creator does, Mike Mignola. Mike Mignola took the project and said, look, we got more stories to tell, and we don't need $200 million to do it. Oh, and by the way, I'm working with these people that want to do this thing. So now you've got the director from the horror movie The Descent, which any horror fans out there will tell you The Descent was a slept-on kind of classic. And then the guy actually directed a couple of episodes of Game of Thrones. So the guy they got, and I think his first name is Nate. I think his name is Nate Dillard or something like that. It kind of escapes me, so don't quote me on that. Anyway,
Neil Marshall.
That's okay. Sorry, I was way off. Neil Marshall. So anyway, they've got the guy from Stranger Things. What is his name again, Malcolm?
David Harbour.
David Harbour. Okay, I want to make sure I put the right info out there. David Harbour, who played the sheriff on Stranger Things, is in talks to play Hellboy. Now, everybody's, saying, well, Del Toro and all this and that, but you got to look at this. They want this to be a rated R horror/comic movie. And you have to look at the Hellboy comic book. This sounds on the surface more along the lines of that comic book than the Del Toro movies. So I'm excited for it. Is it something I just definitely wanted? Not necessarily, but sometimes you don't know what you want until somebody tells you. So I want it.
Most definitely. What's your take on a new Hellboy?
I would actually like to see it. I enjoyed the first two movies, particularly the last one. And I was kind of wondering, like, when are they going to ever bring it back? And now to hear that it's actually coming back and it might be a little bit more hardcore, I'm excited for it. Hopefully, do they have a release date when they possibly going to start production at least?
No release date
not right now
yet.
Okay, well, hopefully we can see it soon. I look forward to it.
Most definitely. Jeremy, what's your take on the new Hellboy?
I echo a ton of what Kevin said. I mean, I agree with almost all of that. The only additional thing that I can really add is that they're floating the idea of the title being Rise of the Blood Queen, which I think is one of the storylines from the comic, which was created back in 1993, and it was a Dark Horse film. I've heard some comic book fans, like the diehard fans, say exactly what Kevin had alluded to, that it's a more gothic, more dark tone than what Del Toro did with his PG-13 versions of the movie, which, like Whit said, I actually like both of those films. They're really, well done. They do have all of Del Toro's kind of distinctive directorial choices in them, all the way down to the Golden Army looking like clocks or cogs and gears. That's a motif in so many of his movies. So I like him.
Yeah.
And I also think that it's got a lot more potential. When I think about that comic book fans not liking the tone, I think all the way back to when The Crow came out and how perfect of a representation and tone and feeling that was to the actual comics or the graphic novels. And then I look at something like Spawn, that was a movie that just totally missed the essence of the comic book. What people loved about it wasn't there. Similar to Mortal Kombat. It's like, how are you going to take source material that's so dark and so subversive and then package it and try to sell it to mass audiences? So I think the smaller budget, I think the new team with Neil Marshall, who, The Descent is absolutely a modern classic, and he did a little small-budget movie before that called Dog Soldiers, and I actually cover it on part 2 of my Werewolves episode of Movie Monsters. So if any of you guys are werewolf fans, go back and check out Neil Marshall's directorial debut, Dog Soldiers. It's like The Predator with werewolves or something. But, I'm stoked. I'm going to go see Hellboy.
Most definitely. Coming up next, Jeremy has the weekend box office results for us. What's going on with that, Jeremy?
Drum roll, please. No, we had a pretty obvious front runner in this week's box office, but we're going to go ahead and start with number 5. Still holding on to a top 5 spot is Beauty and the Beast, and it made $5,087,749 this week. That's a drop-off of 25%. Number 4 is a movie that I haven't even seen any of the marketing material for except for some, images of it on the side of whatever movie website I was checking out. But it's called How to Be a Latin Lover, and it made $5,144,904, dropped off 58%. But for a movie that doesn't have that whole franchise power and all that stuff behind it, it's kind of refreshing to see something, crack the top 5.
One thing about number 4 was How to Be a Latin Lover. It opened up, I think, in less than 500 markets. So I don't know if it has some type of unknown cult following that we didn't see in our radar, but it did not open up in a lot of markets, and it made a lot of money.
Well, and there's something to be said also about how many Latino Americans there are, and how it's not every day that you get a movie made for that specific audience. So I think that probably brought out a lot of people that are specific to that culture. So that's really cool to see, and maybe it'll kind of set a precedent moving forward that audiences are interested in seeing kind of different stories and different perspectives. Coming in at number 2 is The Boss Baby, and I haven't seen this movie. I thought it looked horrible, but I've heard pretty decent things about it. It made $5,976,818. That's a drop off of about 36%. Not too bad. Number 2, no surprise here, Fate and the Furious made another $8,577,175, bringing its total gross to, then this is domestic box office, $207 million. Holy crap, $184,705. That's pretty amazing. And then number 1, surprise to nobody, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And just listen to the disparity. Now that you guys have heard all of these other numbers that were basically all $5 million, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy opening up at $146,510,104. That is unbelievable. I will say that it fell short of what my prediction was. Who was the closest out of the 3 of us on that?
I think we all went over.
We all shot over. I think Kevin might have Price is Righted me and went like $5 million under me and whooped my butt. No,
I think I did.
No, you were right on. I don't think it was that close, but if I'm not mistaken, you went under me like realistically, and I was like, man, he's gonna be so much closer than I am. But I don't think this list is a surprise to anybody. I've heard people say it was going to crack 200 million, and obviously it didn't hit that kind of mark. But what do you guys think about the fact that the Fate of the Furious actually opened up bigger than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 did? Malcolm, what do you think about that? What does that say about the state of the industry?
Well, when we're dealing with Fate of the Furious, it's like I said before, it's that movie that still falls in that range of Transformers. Those movies are just alike to me. Because they're cult classics, they're good with pop culture, and as many as they make, you have it. Okay, I'm a simplify instead of going to this big Hollywood response. Fate of the Furious is like the McRib, all right. So every year the McRib comes back to McDonald's. Between the time the McRib is not there, folks are like, no, I hate the McRib. I don't eat the McRib. Soon as McDonald's announces that the McRib is coming back, everybody runs to McDonald's and gets some McRib. And that's what these movies are. That's what Fate of the Fast and Furious franchise is. It is like a McRib. It can be 2 or 3 years later, and folks are like, yeah, the number 6 was okay. Fate of the Fast and the Furious 7. Come on, oh man, I gotta go see that movie, and it erupts at the box office. So that's the difference between the two. Of course, we got the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's held to a particular culture of a group of people. But movies like Fate of the Furious, they're just those summer blockbusters that keeps coming back like the McRib. Whitney, what's your take on Fate of the Furious?
Sadly, I haven't seen Fast 8. We'll see it this weekend. But I can kind of see how the Fast 8 actually did better than the Guardians of the Galaxy. Even though the first movie was, like I said, an instant classic, they didn't show a villain or something that's like, oh, I got to go see this. Or I'm kind of excited about this. Like, for example, like with Spider-Man, I'm excited to see the Vulture and Shocker in it. It gives you something to say, oh, okay, this is who we're going to be battling. But with the Guardians of the Galaxy, it kind of didn't lead off with that. It doesn't tell you who the main villain or who's the main opposing threat of it is. As far as the Fast and the Furious, you kind of had a sense of off the top, or they're going against Dom. Dom's, flip. So it gave you something more to look forward to. So I think that was more anticipated, probably more than Guardians of the Galaxy to me, because in addition to the tragic, loss to Paul Walker, it's the storyline that's continuing on. It's like we're 8 movies in now, and this is only the second. So that's why I can kind of see why the Fast and the Furious may have had a bigger opening day than Guardians.
What about you, Kevin?
Well, I kind of agree with a lot of what y'all said, but there's one thing that I just realized sitting here listening to y'all talk and thinking about what Jeremy gave us. You have some heavy-hitting kids movies that are out right now. Look at the box office. $10 million of those dollars probably would have went to Guardians had those movies not been out. Boss Baby and Beauty and the Beast, had they not been out, Guardians probably would have had more money.
Absolutely.
But you have to look at it like this. So now we in the summer movie craze, and families have to pick and choose where they're gonna spend their money. And a family that just, because Beauty and the Beast has done over 400 and something million domestically. A family that just saw that last weekend, they can't afford to go out this weekend and see Guardians. They may have to go see Guardians next weekend. And see, that's the biggest thing for some of these movies. And Fast and Furious, look at that as well. Fast and Furious is a family movie event pretty much at this point. So, you know, because I know whole families that go see that. Well, they just went and saw that movie. They can't afford to go back with Guardians. So I'm going to be honest with you. Coming behind Fast and Furious and Beauty and the Beast, I just think Guardians was a victim of timing. I think...
Man, that's such a good point.
Yeah, because if you look at it, you go 2 weeks in front of Guardians and 2 weeks behind it. This movie makes more money. The first one had a $90 million opening weekend, and they improved this one by, I think, about $50 million. I think it was $95 million. This one did $45. So they improved the opening. So they went up. I was thinking more like 180 because they had Baby Groot and all this and that. But at the same time, I'm looking at the time frame and looking at how much it costs to take a family of 4 to the movies. Now, I have a family of 3. It costs me around $50 to go to the movies. So I can only imagine, you know, hey, look, we got one movie we can see this month. Oh, y'all want to see Beauty and the Beast? Well, Baby Groot going to have to wait. Yeah. And that's just, you know what I mean, until we get paid again. So, but needless to say, I like what Whitney had to say, and I agree with him. You know, Fast and Furious is one of those things where the teenagers, the millennials, and the kids that's out here, you don't want to be that kid who hadn't seen the movie yet, sitting in class. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you guys all brought up good points.
Yeah, you don't want to be the kid that hasn't seen that yet. You know, you lame at that point. So,
yeah.
But hey, you know,
I didn't even think about what Whitney had said when you mentioned that it's got a distinctive hook to each of those other movies, and that Guardians didn't show it. I would almost feel like the whole Peter, I'm your dad thing kind of tried to be that, but it wasn't as big of a part as the trailer. It was like a little button on the end as opposed to the whole trailer focusing on it. So that's really interesting and something I wouldn't have even considered.
Well, most definitely. The next thing that we want to talk about is – go ahead.
I got one more thing to add.
Go ahead.
Whitney hit the nail on the head because if you really sit back and think about it, we didn't know who really Sly was until you saw the movie. You had to be a real old-school Guardians fan to get that, you know, who he was. When you say Ego Living Planet, nobody knows who that is. When you say Aisha, nobody knows who that is. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So you got a point. All the names that got released, they are not. And then they told you Thanos and the Infinity Stones weren't going to be part of the movie. Like I told Malcolm the other day, we've been watching this Marvel thing unfold for 15 years now. People ready to see this thing come to fruition. So that might have been part of it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop the whole podcast. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh, you good. But the next thing we want to jump on to is the Wonder Woman trailer, supposedly the final trailer. And in this day and age, we know that when they say the trailer is final, that's not true because we're going to get TV clips and clips at award shows and all type of clips. Whitney, what's your take on the Wonder Woman final trailer?
Well, I'm a DC homer. However, I'm excited to see Wonder Woman to have a female comic book character have a lead role, and it's about time that we actually did this. The only thing I'm kind of questioning on it, of course, is the main villain. That's the main thing I care about in all these movies is you're only as good as your villain. But it kind of felt kind of Captain America First Avengers a little bit. But hopefully they will surprise us and bring a different tone. I want to see, I know in the Batman vs. Superman they showed a picture of her and the Apache Chief. I was kind of hoping to maybe see maybe a little of that. Hoping we might get a glimpse of it. But overall, I'm excited. I think that first week of June is going to do crazy numbers, and justifiably so. It's going to be great. But I'm just kind of, like I said, I want to see a villain. We're going to see it because it's Wonder Woman, no doubt. But I kind of want to see, okay, who she's going to go up against. That's my only concern.
Jeremy, what's your take on the final trailer for Wonder Woman?
I think that Princess Diana and Clark's folks both went to the same parenting school. They're both like, F these people. They're not good enough for you. Same thing in both of them. But seriously, I think it's a great-looking trailer. I think you should watch it on mute. I know it's been said before, but that song is freaking awful. I cannot stand that song. It's so on the nose. I guess it's a little bit better than the slowed-down, old-school pop song that's all, like, somber-sounding and played in a minor key, but I'm not with it. I don't like that song at all, but it looks good. There's a lot of Snyderism kind of action in it. Looks great, but everything's, like, shot in slow-mo with the blue filter on it. You know, it looks a lot like Batman v Superman aesthetically, which looks a lot like Man of Steel aesthetically, so they are trying to keep it all cohesive in that way. I just don't know that that's the way that I would have liked to see these characters portrayed. But it is a good-looking trailer. I couldn't agree with Whitney more. It really feels like Captain America, the First Avenger, and that's probably more a byproduct of the actual source material than it is that it's trying to copy Captain America. But unfortunately, we have to make that comparison, right? So I think it's a fair comparison, even though it might not be from the same place. But anyways, the story does just seem real familiar, and everything that Chris Pine says is some sort of little smart alecky quip in this trailer, which I get what they're doing. They're trying to play up the humor element of it and stuff, but I did think it was interesting that we haven't seen a lot of that. There's been one or two peppered in each of the trailers, and literally every time it cuts back to Chris Pine this time, he's saying some goofy thing about the fish out of water scenario. But before I pass this off, I wanted to ask you guys, did you see the meme of Diana walking with the sword, like, in the back of her dress?
Oh, yeah.
With the sword in it. So that's hilarious. Check that out. But, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the trailer.
And just to put something on that, she ain't got that much back there, but we're going to leave that alone.
Dislike.
But, Kevin, what's your reaction to this trailer?
Well, now that we're talking about this meme, I forgot all about the trailer because that meme was hilarious. Seriously, you know, I don't need to see anything else. It sounds like all of us are excited for this movie. Now, I'm going to go into my little thing. I'll say it from the beginning. This movie shouldn't be as important to the DC universe as it is. Now, Jeremy and I talked extensively a couple of episodes ago about this movie being important for women and female characters, and Whitney brought it up as well. And it's about time. They need to get their shine. Wonder Woman is an excellent character, and she should have had 6 movies by now, okay? What I'm saying when I say it shouldn't be this important to the DCEU is this is a period piece. And it's a story that should be told so we can understand who she is. But your whole cinematic universe shouldn't really be hinging on this movie. And I say that from the standpoint, if this movie is not well received, the DCEU is in trouble. They're already kind of on the rope. And for various reasons I won't get into. And I think that this is a really good-looking movie. I think the action looks top-notch. And I think they're giving us a great story. It's just that there's a lot that has to be right about this movie, and it's already starting off already in the negative, and it has to overcome the negative part so it can be judged on its own. And I'm just hoping that this movie gets the credit it deserves. Because I'm going to really hark back to one of their other movies that I don't think gets the credit it deserves. Man of Steel. Man of Steel was a, no matter how you feel about the movie, and some people like it, some people don't, I'm one of those people that actually loves Man of Steel. It's one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. But when you sit back and you really look at it, that was a great place to start. But their universe seems a little bit stagnant since then. And I'm hoping that this movie is received in a way that will let the DCEU move forward, and I hope they present some new and better ideas in this movie than they have in the past. So I'm looking forward to it. Like, I don't need to see nothing else. Don't show me no clips. Just tell me when I can buy my ticket. That's it.
Now, I know you're a big Man of Steel, Superman, DC fan. What's your comparison between Man of Steel to Wonder Woman?
Basically touching off what they were saying, the tone is pretty much the same. I'm with Kev. I love Man of Steel. To me, that was an instant classic. The only thing I had against Man of Steel, and maybe was I was overhyped on it, but I didn't like it when I first saw it in the theaters. And I don't know why, but it's like when I sat home, when it came out in November and I bought it on Blu-ray, I loved it. And I watched it again and again. I'm like, yo, this is actually pretty good. And I think the thing with Man of Steel that hit me was I have to keep watching it to kind of appreciate the more detail that they put into it. But it kind of does feel Man of Steel-ish, but you have to kind of do that. Even though we know who Wonder Woman is, we feel the story needs to be put out there. Like he said, this should have been 6 movies. This should have been a 6th movie by now. And hopefully they bring it like they did in Man of Steel, and hopefully they put everything out there. The one thing I'm kind of scared about with this movie is I don't want to see another Batman versus Superman. And what I mean by that is I love Batman versus Superman, the extended cut. Like the theatrical cut had so many plot holes in it that it was like, it was killing me. And I'm a DC homer, but I was like, and then when the Blu-ray came out, it was like, okay, I get it. So hopefully they learn from Batman versus Superman and actually put everything out there. Don't hold nothing back. Give us everything you got.
No doubt.
Most definitely. And while we got this break in between going out to our next segment, Jeremy, what's going on over there at B-Terror Production?
All right. Yeah, I'm actually going to be guesting on Pop Culture Palette this week, which is pretty exciting. Jason Robbins was the producer of Monsters Anonymous. It's a web show. It's a small, short film, and it's a great premise. It's like all of the classic Universal monsters are basically in a support group because they've become irrelevant. It's a comedy. It's only about 10 minutes, so you guys should definitely check it out. But I'm going to be guesting on that podcast today, talking about our appearance coming up at Southern Geek Fest, as well as their screening of the movie and just a couple other things. He was actually on the Independent Filmmakers panel at Pensacon. So that'll be cool. And then I am still just freaking knee-deep in those movie monster videos. I've released 2 of them so far. Anticipate a new one being released Friday morning, every single Friday here for the next foreseeable future. I got a bunch of them coming up. I've done werewolves, I've done vampires, and I've got a couple other ones sitting on deck kind of being ready to get rolled out here as the time comes up. But, yeah, that's what's going on lately. I would anticipate that you guys are going to be able to check out some more podcasts and things once my schedule frees up just a little bit more. But head over to Be Terrible Movies on YouTube and subscribe so you can check out all that stuff.
Most definitely. Now, Kevin, what's going on over there at Hupster Photography?
Well, I have a Daredevil Night shoot coming up on Friday, and we're going all the way in on this one. So as I do these cosplay shoots, I got Black Widow and Daredevil coming up. So as I do these photo shoots and whatnot, I'll be posting them on my page on at Hupster Pics on Instagram, and then Hupster Pics on Facebook. So look out for those coming soon.
Most definitely. And guys, if you haven't noticed or checked it out, the Fandoms Anonymous YouTube channel has hit 15,000 views, and we are headed towards 20,000, hopefully by the end of the summer, but we will definitely get there day by day. So thank you all for coming in and enjoying the content, checking out the videos, and we're going to continue to grind each and every single day. But moving on into our next topic, we're jumping over into the web slinger Spider-Man with a clip that we got for SpiderMan Homecoming. Now, as I'm watching this clip and as I'm watching this new trailer, I understand that this is a combination between Sony and Marvel when it comes to creative content. I'm just feeling like this movie is it's real Sony-ish. It's real Sony-ish. It just feels that Sony feel, and I feel like the only thing that's the MCU, of course, is Tony Stark. I'm kind of not excited as I was for Spider-Man coming out of Civil War. So what's your take on Spider-Man Homecoming coming up?
Spider-Man Homecoming, a.k.a. Iron Man 3.5. I'm excited to have him in the MCU. I'm very excited to have him there, but at the same time, it's we're gonna see. I I do like the fact that they have Iron Man in it, and I kind of like his role as kind of a mentor to Spider-Man. Again, I'm a DC guy, and I kind of hate to see my original Batman being in Marvel, but I can take it. I'm looking forward to see the Vulture portrayal. I'm also looking more forward to see the Shocker portrayal. It's going to be real interesting to see how those characters develop. And I don't know, kind of on the fence on it. I'm not really excited about Spider-Man. I love the new Spider-Man. I love where they're trying to go, but I'm just not there yet. Sorry, not there yet. Not sold just yet.
Jeremy, what's your take on this new Spider-Man coming up?
Well, I think you guys are nuts again. I don't know what's going on here. I feel like I'm in Bizarro land or some crap. It's one of those weird trailerception things that they've been doing lately where, like, there's a trailer before the trailer, and then the pre-trailer shows the same stuff that's in the trailer. I don't like that. I don't understand the point of that. I guess it's so if you're so ADD that you can only watch a 10-second version of the trailer, it's there for you, but I really liked it. I think that the song selection in this trailer worked because these are high school kids that we're focusing on, so the fact that they would listen to MGMT or the fact that they would listen to this kind of more modern alternative rock makes sense to me in the context of the story. Zendaya, every time she says a line in this trailer, I thought it was pretty funny. Like, I like her delivery. I don't know who she's supposed to be. We really haven't got to see any of the Shocker, and we really haven't got to see any of the love interest. I can't think of the name of that actress right now, but she is definitely the love interest of Peter in it. So I think it's interesting that they're playing up this secondary female character as much as they are. But I think Zendaya is a really big star, so I can kind of understand why. I feel like she's marketing to that kind of teen tween audience while Tony Stark's marketing to the Marvel fans. Like, they're putting everything they can forward. I think that's interesting, Malcolm, that you thought it felt more Sony than Marvel. I didn't necessarily catch that vibe, but now that you say it, it's going to be stuck in my mind because, all the Spider-Man movies that we've seen so far have been associated with Sony, so I can definitely understand the apprehension there. If there's one thing we've seen that Sony cannot do well is balance a bunch of villains, and this is a movie where we're going to have multiple villains. We haven't even seen the Tinkerer yet in any of the trailers, so, they do have some cards stacked against them. They could be pretty hard obstacles to overcome. Paul Giamatti, fantastic actor. I'd put him right there in the same league as Michael Keaton, but he was stupid in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and underutilized. So just because you're a good actor doesn't mean you'll be a good fit as a supervillain. But I've really liked everything I've seen Michael Keaton doing in the trailer so far. We have seen all the previous we've seen all the set pieces in previous trailers before, which I like that we're not getting to see a whole lot more of the action. But I really did not like seeing that Tony was the one that saved the fairy. I did not like seeing all his little, Iron Man components shoot down and latch onto the fairy and push it back together. I thought that was way too much of a spoiler. And I think that this trailer focuses more on the relationships and the characters than it does the action in this particular trailer, which is, it's kind of cool that they're going to leave it as this. I don't know. This probably won't be the last trailer, obviously. I think this might, I don't know. Anyways, I hope they don't give us much more, but right now I really am excited about it. Like, a lot of people love Batman because he's dark and brooding, and I would love Batman. I would say Batman is my second favorite superhero right behind Spider-Man. So I hope they do it right. That's all I can say.
Kevin, what's your reception as far as SpiderMan Homecoming?
I think this is going to be a good film. I'm not super excited for it, and I'll tell you why. It has nothing to do with the marketing materials or anything. I had a realization the other day. My Spider-Man is grown Peter Parker married to Mary Jane out of the house. That's, he's a photographer, and that's my Spider-Man. This Spider-Man is more so for the kids because I realized something. If you go back probably 15 years, every iteration of Spider-Man that's been on TV has been a kid in high school. I know of 3 separate cartoon series where he was a kid in high school. I'm okay with that, since they have Tom Holland playing Spider-Man, and they got actually a kid, not a 30-year-old man, playing him in high school. I'm okay with that. But it's just a point of I'm ready for an adult Peter Parker to be out here being Spider-Man, dealing with adult themes. That's what I'm ready for. So in that regard, that's why I'm kind of like, okay, I'm going to see this thing. But I will say this. I thought about Malcolm's comments as far as the it being a little bit more Sony than it is MCU or whatnot. And I got to kind of disagree with that as far as my viewpoint goes. This thing to me looks all MCU. I mean, MCU to the heart. So much so that if you watch the very first trailer, if you saw some breakdowns online, they got Tony Stark's father painted on the mural in high school, and that Captain America video for the physical fitness test. You know what I mean? Like, they have weaved MCU. Yeah, there's a clip of the kids sitting down at PE, and it's for, like, the Presidential Physical Fitness Award, and it's Captain America in costume giving them the, so it's like they weaved the MCU all through this thing or whatever. So, but again, I'm not trying to argue the point or whatever. I just see it that way. I'm just like, the MCU is burnt in my mind, and which is not a bad thing. So I'm going to check it out. I'm going to be there. This is the one thing that Jeremy and I have in common. Spider-Man is my favorite comic book character of all time. And I've read so much Spider-Man, and I cut my teeth in comics on Spider-Man, comic books, that I'm ready for something different. I'm ready for something where the stakes are really serious. I will say this. I am not a fan of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, except for when Emma Stone dies. That scene right there, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know of another scene in a comic book movie that gave me that much emotion as that scene did right there. That was Mark Webb deserves all the money in the world for that one scene. The rest of the movie was trash, though.
Yeah.
But I'll come up. I'm done now. I'm sorry.
Most definitely. Speaking of Tom Holland, I don't know if everybody on the panel has seen it, but Tom Holland was recently on an episode of Lip Sync Battle versus him and Zendaya. And he did Rihanna's Umbrella and cross-dress. Now, I'm going to overlook the cross-dressing thing, and I'm going to focus on one element of this. First of all, this boy can dance. Second of all, he has rhythm, and you see his gymnastic side that you can tell that he has put into this movie, into this Spider-Man movie. How many of y'all got a chance to check that video out?
I saw it.
What did you think about it, Jeremy?
Man, I don't know. I don't know the premise enough of Lip Sync Battle to know. It did look like Zendaya. Is it Zendaya? Let me get this right now. Anyone? I
don't think nobody has got those vowels right how they end. But I think it's Zendaya. That's what I keep hearing on TV, Zendaya.
All right, we'll go with that. And she looked to be doing a gender swap thing also. She looked to be dressed like a dude. So maybe every episode of Lip Sync Battle, they do some gender swap thing, and that's part of the show or something. I don't know. But the whole Singing in the Rain thing at the beginning, I can't remember who the original dancer guy is right now, but he's very, very iconic. And back in the day on Glee, they did Umbrella, Singing in the Rain mashup. So the song selection was something I'd already seen before. It starts off with, dancing like from Singing in the Rain, the musical, and then it goes into Umbrella. That's something that, they did specifically on Glee. I agree that he's got acrobatic skills. I didn't think the choreography was exceptional. I thought it was just okay. He doesn't seem like the most technically gifted dancer, but that stuff's hard. Choreographed dancing is something totally different from gymnastics. It's something totally different from the parkour and all these other things he does. I don't have a problem with the cross-dressing thing. I love Rocky Horror Picture Show. What was that, Tu Wong Fu with Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo. It was pretty funny. But it was just like whatever it was supposed to do. Like if it was supposed to be funny, I wasn't feeling it like that at all. I was just like, this is just kind of weird. And if you watch Zendaya's reaction, that's exactly how I was feeling throughout the whole thing. Just like, what is going on? Dude's got some really broad shoulders, though, so there's that.
Well,
actually, go ahead, Kevin.
And I got one thing to say. All I need Tom Holland to do is shoot webs. The rest of this shit, I'm good. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Preach it, man. That's so true.
Most definitely. Actually, I saw the fact. I looked at the gymnastic sides and the flips he was doing and the small stunts he was doing throughout the performance, and I was like, he's bringing something else to the role. We know Tobey Maguire wasn't doing none of that. We know. I don't know about Andrew. I can't speak for Andrew Garfield because I don't know what kind of stunt process he had throughout the Spider-Man movie. But Tom Holland is bringing a presence to the movie where just following him on social media, he's going to bring non-comic book fans to the movie because he's creating himself a legacy. Now, a question I do have for Whitney is, do you think Tom Holland can get other work after the Spider-Man gig is up?
I think it basically depends on the movie. I mean, if everyone likes the product that he puts out, hopefully the Spider-Man is successful. Again, even though I'm not a big Marvel person and I'm not excited about the movie, I do want to see it do well. But if he knocked this movie out the park, because we haven't seen it yet, of course, but if he knocks it out, I don't see why not. I honestly don't see why not. I mean, I would love to see him do more, and I would love to see more I actually want to see more Spider-Man movies other than this one. I'm just kind of turned off on the whole Iron Man 3.5 point. But I think he can. I definitely think he can if this movie is a success.
I'd like to touch on this one real fast, if that's cool, Malcolm.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you look at a Josh Hutcherson, attached to the Hunger Games. You look at an Elijah Wood attached to Lord of the Rings. You look at a Daniel Radcliffe attached to Harry Potter. And all of them, unfortunately, it's not so much that they were victims of their success. In my personal opinion, it's that they have such a boyish look that it's hard for them now that they're adult men to be cast as leading men because of their physicality. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I have seen it happen before. Radcliffe and Elijah Wood have had small successes with smaller budget independent films, but as far as getting cast as like the hero of an action movie or something, they really don't fit the bill. Tom Holland's 20 years old, so his physicality could change, but I suspect that it will be less of a issue of because he's getting typecast for Spider-Man, because Star Wars, none of these characters are getting typecast right now. They're all getting all sorts of other work. But then when we look at these other kind of smaller stature guys and where their careers went, it could not go well for that reason.
Kevin, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, Andrew Garfield is the exception to that rule because he had 2 movies this year that were, highly acclaimed Academy Award pictures. But Jeremy's got a point. Out of everybody he named, he's the only one. Look at Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire faded to black on everybody pretty much. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. And the thing about it is, Jeremy's right. When you have that boyish look, people want. Listen, when you cast a leading man, I'm just going to be honest. That's why Ryan Gosling is the lead in this movie. Women want to sleep with Ryan Gosling, and guys want to be him.
Yeah.
That's what a leading man, in basic terms, that's what a leading man is supposed to be. Nobody's looking at Daniel Radcliffe like I want to be Harry Potter. No self-respecting grown man is I want to be the boy who lives. Nobody's saying that. And that's the thing. If you really look at the 2 movies with Andrew Garfield, especially let's just look at Hacksaw Ridge. That's a non-conventional leading man. That's not a guy that's on the screen that's sexy. That's a guy that was in a war carrying his army brothers to safety. That's a different leading man type deal. Like, nobody's putting him in a tuxedo wanting him to be James Bond. So, again, I agree with all of that. But Tom Holland's 20 years old. and he might have a chance to kind of outlive some of this stuff. So we'll see.
We'll see. Now, one of the next to the last things I want to drop on is some news came out from FXX. Donald Glover is going to be working on a Deadpool animated series on FXX. I'm okay with this because, Donald Glover has gotten a lot of success from, his persona of Childish Gambino with his music, and then got a lot of success from FXX with his show Atlanta. And I think that they looked at him and his style of comedy, and they had a sense of a trust factor, and you're like, well, he's producing big for this. Let's put him in the world of Deadpool. He's already been in the Marvel world, of course, doing some voice work for Miles Morales. My only hang-up is that Ryan Reynolds needs to have some type of involvement in this. I mean, that's my only thing. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Okay, what anybody thinks, says Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, and he needs to have some type of involvement. I'm not saying he needs to be the voice of Deadpool. I'm not saying he, anything like that. I mean, if he does, it's cool, it's fine. But when it comes to this, he needs to have some input. I know he's not the creator of Deadpool, but that's just the persona I have when it comes to Ryan Reynolds. I got a question. I don't know if y'all might be able to answer it. Is FXX a part of Fox? Is that another division of Fox?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So, Whitney, what's your take on this Deadpool animated series?
Bring it. We need it. Bring it. You can never have enough Deadpool. Bring it. One thing I want to see from it, if they do it, is I don't want it to be tied into the movie. I just want it to be its own Deadpool series, kind of like how Black Panther was on BET. I don't know if you guys remember that series.
I do.
The Black Panther series on BET.
Yep, it's great.
Yes, loved it. Hopefully it's kind of like that, but a little bit longer with the episodes, more than 15 minutes. But I say bring it. I think it's a great idea. It'll bring more attention to the Deadpool character, especially with the second movie coming out. So I'm all for it. I say it's a go.
What about you, Kevin?
I'm going to be honest with y'all. This don't make me happy. I love Donald Glover's work. Atlanta was one of the funniest shows I think I've ever watched on TV. I got to be honest. Really strong show. Donald Glover was one of the youngest people to ever go in and write for a TV show. He wrote for 30 Rock. As a really young man. Donald Glover knows entertainment. He knows comedy. He knows comic books. My thing that doesn't make me excited is I need to see the animation style, and I need to tell you one thing: breaking the fourth wall or third wall, or whatever they want to call it, if you will. I don't think it's as funny in animation as it is in the movies. I've seen Deadpool on screen before and some of this stuff when he does it, and it's not funny. Granted, it was not a cartoon show that was for adults. So what I'm saying is when you change the medium for Deadpool, to me, I think you can lose some of the comedy in there. Some of the things may not be as funny. However, I think if there was anybody at that network I was going to put this in their hands, it would be Donald Glover and his brother Steven, are the two people that are coming to the forefront to write this. I'm going to tell you this right here. I don't think Ryan Reynolds needs to be involved with this show unless he's going to run it. Unless it's going to be under his wing and they're going to do it, because Ryan Reynolds, at this point right now, when he comes in, he likes to own whatever he's on. And when I say own it, I'm not talking about right out. I'm talking about I'm in charge. You see Tim Miller got up out of there. And I don't want you to have too many cooks in the kitchen and this thing never turns out to be what it could be on either side. So if he's there, let him run it. Let him go. Let him run with it and do it. But if not, I need for Ryan Reynolds to focus on the movies and back off of that. So, because I imagine, as far as when it comes to Deadpool, I don't think Ryan Reynolds is easy to work with. I'm not saying he's an asshole. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying, hey, I put this thing together. This thing wouldn't be as popular without me. It's my way or the highway. And comedy doesn't necessarily work like that. So that's my take on it. So I'll watch it, and I hope it's great. I'm cheering for Donald Glover, but it doesn't make me happy.
Jeremy Branch.
This is kind of news to me. I hadn't heard anything about it until you posted it a little bit ago. I agree with a lot of what Kevin said, honestly. Like, I mean, pretty much to a T. Like, first of all, Hollywood, cast a wider net. Let some other people, and you know how many starving actors there are over there in Hollywood just trying to make a break? Like, give somebody else a role. It's the same people that come up for everything. Donald Glover, he's already in Spider-Man. He's been talked about for, like you said, voicing Miles Morales. He is really well established. I first learned about him on Community, you know, Troy and Abed, and I love those characters. I thought that was such a good show. I watched Atlanta. It's fantastic. I think that the Oscar that he won was well-deserved because the dude is super talented. I love Childish Gambino. I think he does some really original stuff, you know, from one medium to the next. So I really respect the dude. When Kevin brought up the animation style, because it's FXX, the first thing that popped into my mind was Archer, and I think that could be a pretty dope way of doing it. However, there's not a lot of motion in the characters. There's not a lot of fluidity, so I don't know how well he would be able to move in that style of animation, but I think it would look cool with that simple cell shading and the kind of like old 1950s style illustrations and stuff. But I don't know. I think that his comedy timing is there. I think he's got a good voice for it. I think that there's a lot of pros to it. I can imagine Ryan Reynolds will probably be an executive producer, but they can have their hands pretty off of the whole project and still be that. And when you're watching the credits at the beginning, it'll be like, oh, there's Ryan Reynolds' name. I trust him with Deadpool, you know. So yeah, I don't know. It's probably going to be great, but at the same time, it's like I don't know how much of this stuff we need, you guys. At what point is it just too much media to even consume? And that's what I'm like, we're about to get a Deadpool Part 2. We're about to get an X-Force movie. There's inevitably going to be another Deadpool movie. There's inevitably going to be a sequel to X-Force. So it's like, I don't personally have room in my life for all of this stuff. So it's like, I got to pick my battles, and I don't know that this will be on the top of the list, you know?
And speaking of something else on the list, one of the last topics of the day is the Gifted trailer that we got from Fox. There's going to be on Fox Television. Basically supposed to be an X-Men story. Now, we don't really have a lot of synopsis or background. Not sure if everybody caught the little teaser trailer. They said that we're supposed to get a full trailer this Monday on the 15th. So what did you all think about the teaser trailer for those who caught it?
Anybody see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Check it out.
It's 26 seconds, and it's 26 seconds of nonsense. And when I say that, I mean, it doesn't look bad. It looks just like a Fox TV show. But if you're going to put a teaser out, you know, why bother if you're not going to give us any story?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why bother? You know, and it's just one of those things where I think that, again, Fox is still grabbing at straws when it comes to certain things. And they're still trying to figure stuff out. And I think that in order for something dealing with Fox to work, no matter if it's on FXX, or if it's a Fox movie, or if it's on Fox, the creator, the executive producer, or the showrunner, or whoever, they have to pretty much be somebody that they trust to let them go off and do these things. Like Legion. They trust Noah Hawley from Fargo. So he was able to make that Legion show and do some crazy cool stuff, and is well received. If FX or /Fox would have made it on their own, that show would have been crap. And I'm afraid that with the marketing for this right here, this first teaser trailer, is like, okay, you showed me some cool images, but what the hell is the story? What are we dealing with here? You know, so I think it was, image-wise, it looks great. As far as scratching below the surface, I don't know what the hell we're getting. But I'll tune in and watch it.
Let me set this up here. In a world where mutants use their powers to get free snacks out of a vending machine, That sounds about right.
That sounds about right to me.
X-Men is one of those, it's, like you said about Fox and the X-Men and grabbing at straws, they're about 50-50 with me. I haven't really loved any of the X-Men movies except for First Class. I thought First Class was really cool, probably because Michael Fassbender was killing Nazis in it. I thought it was pretty dope, though. That was one that I really enjoyed. And then I like Logan, of course. I like Deadpool, of course. So I like Legion, of course. So all of their spin-off stuff has been real cool. And that's what gives me confidence in this trailer. But like you guys nailed it. There's nothing there, really. It looks like Bill from True Blood plays a character in it. And like I had mentioned in that last little segment about Deadpool, it's like, at what point do we hit critical mass? I really like watching Legion. If this comes on in the same slot as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which one am I going to pick up and watch? So I'll have to see a little bit more before I can really say whether it looks good to me or not.
And Whitney, I don't know if you caught the trailer, but whether if you did or you didn't, what is your take on just the X-Men franchise going in so many different directions, going from the original 90s X-Men to the movies from the 2000s into what we have now and now headed to TV?
Well, I love the X-Men series overall, but as far as what Fox did, the best thing Fox ever did with the X-Men is the 1990 cartoon series. All the movies, it's kind of been like, it's like missed potential. I mean, I'm gonna go with Kel. I love First Class. I think First Class was dead on, but with every X-Men movie, it's just kind of like, okay, that was good, but it could have been better. And even with the spin-off series, I think I just want to see more consistency out of Fox. I just want to see something rooted. It's kind of like when I watched Days of the Future Past. It's like, to me, what they said was, we screwed up, so we're starting the timeline all over again. And it kind of feels like that. So I can't really trust Fox. Of course, Deadpool was dead on. But I'm not won over with them yet. I'm kind of on the fence with them still. I'll probably DVR and check it out later on, but I ain't sold on them yet.
Most definitely. But, guys, we do thank you for joining us today. This has been an amazing episode of Fandom Talk presented by Fandoms Anonymous. Kevin, where can everybody find you?
Hey, on Facebook at Kevin Garlington at Hubster Picks, and on Instagram, and then Facebook /Hubster Picks.
Most definitely. Whitney Moore, where can everybody find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at manofsteel251, and you can also catch me with the wonderful people at Fandom Anonymous.
Jeremy Branch from Be Terrible to Productions in Pensacola, where can we find you?
www.iwannabetheboywholive.com. Make sure to check me out over there. And check out BeTerrible.com, Be Terrible Movies on YouTube, and all that good stuff. And like Be Terrible Productions on Facebook.
Most definitely. Guys, if you don't know who we are, we're Fandoms Anonymous. That's FANDOMSANONYMOUS. We're all over social media. We're here on YouTube where you're watching this video. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications for future videos. Also, head over to Facebook, join our discussions in the Fandoms Anonymous group, and hit that like on the Fandoms Anonymous fan page. Also, head over to Instagram where we're at Fandoms_Anonymous17, and over there at Twitter at Anonymous_Fan17. Got a lot of new stuff coming up on the channel, a lot of new content up now as we speak. And as I always say, guys, if there is anything else, thanks for watching, and have a good one.
Konnichiwa.
Fandoms Anonymous.